Welcome once again to the BCHS Bear Network. I'm your host, Gary Ownbey, as we continue our discussion of sports, spring sports here at Bradley Central. Today, talking about lacrosse, girls lacrosse here with Coach Philip Rich. And Philip, we have a lot of visitors come introduce who you brought with you today.
We have the midfielder, senior midfielders, EJ, and then we've got a senior attacker, Ebony.
Okay, well, glad to have them both here with us today. Obviously, you didn't play lacrosse in middle school here in Bradley County. You start playing here at Bradley. How many years have you played now?
This is our second year.
Your second year, okay. Do you enjoy lacrosse? Is it?
Yes, it's a lot of fun. I really don't know what else I would be doing if it wasn't.
Is it hard?
Yeah, it takes a little bit of practice to get used to catching with the stick.
Well, I see people on TV playing lacrosse, and it's like soccer. There's a lot of running. There's not much idle time where you're standing around doing nothing, is there?
No.
Well, Ebony, you've been playing 2 years here, I guess, at Bradley Central High School.
Yes.
And you are both seniors.
Mm-hmm.
What position do you play?
Midfield.
And what position?
Attack.
The attack. So can anybody score if you can get the ball into the net?
Yes,
So
midfield
it's like
and attack.
hockey, anything else, you got some guys going to be the forwards or up front there, attackers.
Yeah.
But anybody can score any point, I guess. Well, Coach, what's your background in lacrosse? Do you have a playing background in it, or did you learn the sport? And
No, I started coaching it about a year ago and
Yeah.
have been trying to learn the sport ever since. So just a friend of mine said, hey, let's start a lacrosse team. I was like, well, I don't know much about it, but we can give it a go. And I just fell in love with coaching it. And been a good time ever since.
well, it's not. I'm going to try to oversimplify, but it's not a hard game to watch or to play, I guess. But there's a technique to it, like anything else. There's attack mode and defensive mode, I guess. And is it a hard sport to coach, or you got some smart girls here learning that, or you have to coach them up a whole lot, as we say, or
It's takes a while to get used to catching a ball with a stick with a net on the top of it. That's the hardest thing because most people want to use their hands.
Yeah.
Once girls can kind of get the basics and fundamentals of it, then it starts into a lot of basketball type motion, that type thoughts.
Yeah.
So
do you have? You talked about being an attack player. Do you have what I would call like a fast break attack? You got the team on their heels. Can you rush the net there
Yes.
and just go at them every side, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Can you play behind the net like you do in hockey at all?
Yes.
Yes.
I've seen some of this. And like I was at Lee, I was telling you earlier, I was over at Lee yesterday, and they were getting ready for a lacrosse match, and they were going through this warm-up routine, much like they do in basketball, where they line up and they were in a circle, but they're passing the ball back and forth pretty sharply. And it's amazing me sitting there and watching them. They never missed it. Of course, they're college. They've been doing it a while, so they understand how the game's played, I guess. And all.
absolutely.
Something that's always interested me too, though. I've seen every sport you play, there's a penalty. You get a foul in basketball, penalty in football. What's the deal in lacrosse? What would get you penalized with a yellow card or a red card? Knocks them upside the head with a stick, or tripping somebody, or stuff like that? Or
Yes. So they have a safe space around the head. They call it the halo.
okay,
And any violation of that halo, because they don't wear helmets. So guys' game, you wear a helmet. Girls' game, you do not. So any stick to the face, neck, or head area, or a shot would be an illegal shot to that area would be a yellow card. And two yellows get you a red. And a red means you're out.
with a yellow card, just don't do that again. Is that the kind of deal?
You sit for 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like hockey. You got a penalty box.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So do you ever get whacked upside of the head there?
Yes.
It's got to happen.
Yes.
Probably unintentional most of the time, I'm sure. But in the heat of the moment, who knows? But you can't just swing at somebody just because they beat you flat on you.
Yeah.
Although you'd like to, I
It's
guess.
tempting sometimes.
What's the hardest part about lacrosse to play? I mean, you got to be in decent shape. I mean,
Yeah, it's a lot of running. It takes a lot of getting in shape.
yeah. Evan, do you agree with that?
I agree. I think you also have to be aware of your time because it takes seconds to get a goal. It takes seconds to win a draw, to make that pass. And if you're not aware of that, then you can mess up.
Yeah.
How many quarters do you play? How many periods do you play?
It's 2 25-minute halves.
220, and it's a running clock, or you call timeout, or you stop for an injury or something like that, I guess.
I wish we stopped for injuries. Yeah, you get a couple of timeouts a half. I mean, you also stop when cards are drawn or someone scores in the draw. So the clock doesn't stop often, but it does stop on occasion. It depends on how many goals you're scoring, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what do you have coming up in the foreseeable future in the next couple of weeks in the lacrosse schedule?
we're traveling to Knoxville tomorrow. Play 2 games tomorrow at CAK, and we're going to Signal Thursday, and then we'll be back home the following week.
Okay. And where do you play your home matches at?
Charleston Elementary for right now. You got to play on a football field, and so 120 yards by 55 to 60. So getting some space available that large of an area. So yeah.
Who is there a statewide power in lacrosse that you know going through them is going to be tough, or is there somebody in the Southeast Tennessee area that's pretty good? Or
GPS is one of the top ranked teams in the state. Baylor's depends on the year. Seymour is probably one of the top public, Ravenwood or top public schools right now. So they're a big school like we are, and they've had it for about 12, 13 years. So
okay.
yeah, those are your 2 big ones.
And unlike most sports, they don't break private and public apart as far as competition goes, or do they break that apart at the state postseason
At
level?
the state level. So what they do in lacrosse is a little different. They take your top 8 teams from private schools and top 8 teams from public schools, and then they square off for a couple of different weekends and in 2 different divisions.
How are those top 8 teams determined? By record or by writers or people covering it, ranking it?
That's a little different. It's rankings and records, goals scored, that who you've beaten makes a big difference, and by how much, that kind of thing.
Head-to-head matches and all that.
Yeah, head-to-head is important.
Well, as someone who is new to the game of lacrosse, what's the hardest thing for you to get across to the players in your coaching efforts, or is it just come naturally for you and the players? Or
So a friend of mine told me when you start a lacrosse team, you're going to get a lot of kids that have never played a sport before or have played it and kind of grown tired of it and don't play one. So teaching them fundamentals of sports, like how to play a zone defense versus a man defense, and playing as a team and that kind of stuff has been a little different. Coming from a background of I've been coaching for many years, so I've always dealt with kid ready-made athletes that come to me, a lot of experience. And with lacrosse, I'm doing with a lot of girls like these 2 that came and didn't have a lot of experience in other sports. So
we got to coach them up.
absolutely.
How many students do you have in your program altogether?
27 right now.
27.
We start off with 42. Lacrosse is one of those sports because it's so physical. You either love it or you don't. Like it takes place pretty quick. And girls get hit the first time and they're like, okay, I can do this. Or they're like, no, I'm out. So the attrition rate can be pretty high for a lot of teams. So.
Okay. And how many are on the field at one time?
12.
12 on the field. So it's 24 total, 12 one way for 12 for us and 12 for the other team. Wow. Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. I might get there and watch you guys play some. I'm over at Lee a lot, and I see them over there playing, and it's interesting. It's exciting. It's fast paced and moving and all that. And how do you, if somebody wanted to play lacrosse, a girl coming into Bradley Central, let's say, as a freshman this year, would they need to contact you, say, hey, I'm interested, or do you have tryouts, or at the beginning of the year, or during the wintertime season? Or
yes, we're going to. Next fall, we're going to have a big parent day because interest, like I have girls coming out this week wanting to do it. We're going to have an interest meeting. Girls can get, because it's just such a different sport. It's not like dribbling a basketball where you've done it since you're this tall or throwing a football. So, and a lot of time is going to be spent just getting girls acclimated to having to use a stick, throw and catch with it. And then we'll go from there because it's hard for a girl to, even as athletic as some may be, to come out and say, hey, I want to play this game, and next week they're playing out on the field like there's this, it's not very safe. So it takes a while to get accustomed to it. So yeah, just I don't know, get in touch with me, get in touch with one of the players.
They're your
set
best
it up.
recruiters sometimes.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, they're great.
Evan, is it hard to learn to catch that ball when you first went out there with a stick and the little net on there and the little ball? Is it hard to learn to catch that thing?
Yes, I thought I'd never learn how to.
Is it hard to aim it to get to another teammate? I mean, once you get the hang of it, does it get any easier?
Yeah, it gets easier for sure. Over time, you just kind of get used to how you place your stick, how you know how to catch it, and it just gets easier.
Can you take the ball away from someone or just intercept it in midair? If they throw it on the ground, that you get that way?
It's free ball, yeah.
Free ball.
Yes.
Okay. I'm learning a lot as we go here. And what position did you play?
Midfield.
Or so you're a defender or?
I play a little bit of everything. I'm up and down that field.
Well, like I said, you got to have to have some stamina to be in shape, you know.
Absolutely.
Can you say, hey coach, I'm tapping out, you know, replace me or something like that, or you pick up on that as they're playing and say, hey, she's dragging or whatever.
Typically, when they turn about 4 shades of red and they start walking, that's when it's
Starting can't catch the ball or can't throw the ball
Yeah.
or whatever. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for being here today. It's always fun to have you on our show. I think we had one last year. We'll have you again
Absolutely.
as the season moves on there. And we'd like to thank Ebony here and also Emma Jane for both being with us today, talking about the girls lacrosse and junior and
Seniors.
both seniors. So you guys need to, show these youngsters how it's done, keep them straight, and uphold the Bradley tradition, for success. So wish you the best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank
Where
you.
will you, like when it gets down to the postseason, where would you play the postseason? Is it each team would host, depending on their standings and stuff like that, or?
Last year was a little different because of COVID.
Yeah.
This year, I think they're leaning more towards some neutral site fields to play, because they'll play like a whole bunch of games in one weekend. They'll take the week off. They'll come back the next weekend and play some more. So
Have a single site for everybody, sort of like we do in basketball this year. Last year, it was all spread out too because of COVID and all that, but I hope to goodness that's all behind us for the time being anyway. But thanks, Ebony and Emma Jane, Coach Philip Rich, thank you for being here today, talking about girls lacrosse. We appreciate all that. And there's a lot of interest in that. So girls, if you're out there watching this program, keep that in mind. Come to Bradley Central. You're playing something that's a little different than other sports. Lacrosse is an exciting sport to be involved in. Until next time, we'll say so long for now. God bless and go Bearettes.